Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, and I hope you guys are having the best day ever. If this is your first time on my channel, my name is Sebastian. I do tea videos, I do story times, I do vlogs. We do a lot on this channel. I do want to go ahead and say that, listen, I know there's a lot of tea channels, so thank you so much for choosing mine. I do like to say I am not your typical tea channel. I'm a cool channel, I'm not your typical mom, mean girls. I am very different. I don't believe in ending and canceling and doing all these crazy things. I'm not an online bully. I just like to share what is going on with you, put a spin on it, laugh, make you feel like you're less alone. That's sort of the vibe on my channel. So with that, all that being said, did I mention my name was Sebastian? I don't know if I mentioned it, but hi girl. So listen, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You do not want to miss out. I do videos every single day, and I do a lot of videos a day. So if you're bored, if you're lonely, if you need a friend, honey, I'm here. Okay, so listen. Today we will be talking about James Charles. We will be talking about the very, very serious issues and the very serious allegations and all of these things. So I do want to put that out there. Before we start, grab a snack, grab a drink, and well, let's get into it. So as you guys read, the title, it is the moment James Charles' career ended. Something like that. I'm not sure what I'm going to put at the end, but it's something like that. The title is very important. Now, James Charles has been able to get away with a lot, right? Now, these are very serious allegations that have been said to him, or have been, put out in public against him. In this video, I will also share my experience with a predator when I was younger. So I'm going to give you a little insight of someone who's been through it on the other side. And that's why I'm trying to understand the situation as much as I can. I'm trying to elevate myself to see the bigger picture. James Charles has been able to do quite a lot in his very young age professionally. He has been able to achieve things that people dream of. He has been able to really, really conquer a lot. And as a very young person, if we're speaking about his work ethic, I think he shows to be a hard worker. He seems to be a hard worker. And he seems to be, from what I thought, he was like an old soul. I remember saying this like a year or two ago. I was like, James Charles is like an old soul. Of course, this was before any allegations. There was a very important thing that he said in a video, and God, if I find it, I'm definitely going to put it up. But he said in a video that because he had to grow up so fast and he had to always be surrounded by adults and all of these things, he doesn't think like your typical 21-year-old. Now, that is a very common thing in the entertainment world. I remember a lot of singers said the same thing, that they had to grow up, quite fast. I know the Olsen twins said that once. Miley, when you're young and you're put in this world, you're surrounded by adults, right? You don't have a normal childhood. With that all being said, James Charles' romantic life has been a flop, right? He really hasn't been seen with a boyfriend. He used to talk a lot about being a virgin in all of his videos, so it's not a private thing. He talks about, hooking up with guys and giving them BJs all the time, all these things, right? And he always loved and talked about straight bait, like he loves straight guys. I think that's called straight baiting. I'm not sure. But he loves the idea of straight guys. He loves the idea of muscular guys, manly, masculine guys, right? For a lot of gay guys, they like that. I'm one of those, I myself, I accept that I am feminine, bitch, and I am turned on by a more masculine guy, so we can sort of level, even ourselves out. Girl, two bottoms do not make a top, okay? Having said that. So he's always talked about, that. And I'm gonna speak through experience somewhat about that. So with for you guys out there who are not gay or things like that, I'm speaking from experience. So I'm not generalizing on anyone. I'm not saying every gay guy is like this. But for me, growing up, I loved everything that had to do with girls. So I loved Mary Kate and Ashley. I looked up to Britney, the Spice Girls. You know, all female power, like girl power all the way. And I remember at a very young age with watching the Power Rangers, I was always wanted to be the pink one. And I was always in love with the White Ranger, Tommy, and they were a couple. And I think since then, I felt like I wanted to be the girl in the relationship, right? That's at a very young age. When I would fantasize about boyfriends or play pretend with friends, I was always the princess, this and that. That sort of translated into my life at an older age, where I also looked at straight guys and how I wish I could be with the straight guy, because I felt like I wanted to keep on being this feminine girl. Not that I wanna, I don't want to, you know, become a girl. I don't feel like I'm a girl. But at a very young age, growing up like that, I always wanted to be like the girl in the relationship, right? Have the protector next to me, if you will. As I then really grew older and matured and evolved, I understood and I changed, right? In the sense that I still liked masculine guys. I still fantasized about turning straight guys. And that's something that a saying James Charles has said many times, that he has turned straight guys. Turning straight guys is a very popular theme in the gay society. And I have thought of myself also, well, I've turned some straight guys too. You know what I mean? Like, I've had plenty of stories where straight guys and I would make out, or they would confess feelings towards me or stuff like that. So I understand that part of James Charles wanting to go for the straight guy, right? And that's where my understanding ends, because I've been through that. I get it, right? James Charles has said many times he likes the straight guys. He likes to, you know, da da da, right? Okay, so listen. That part, I get. I understand, right? Now, the part that I don't understand is the use of power. How to get those straight guys. Now, some straight guys are curious. Some straight guys are not even straight. They're curious. They want to test the waters, right? But it has to happen organically. Now, there is a shift of power. There's a power play there. It is James Charles, right? So any straight guy out there wanting to make it will do things to make it. So is he turning the straight guys in a way of organically happening? Like, Lewis thought James Charles was hot and didn't care about James Charles' name, didn't care about the, nothing, the cloud or anything. He just thought he was hot. He wanted to experiment. That's fine. But is James Charles, did he start using that power back then? Now, with the underage allegations and confessions that he's made, that he sent those pictures, that's where I think there is a big problem. There is now a problem that it is a very dangerous problem, because now you get the power play and you involve underage kids, okay? So James Charles, he said, he's confessed, there's about, I believe, more than 10 underage kids that have come forward with proof. And what happens? TikTok deletes their videos. Their videos get deleted. They disappear, okay? And James Charles continues. With his last video, now the dislikes are coming up more and more and more. But in the couple first days, the likes and dislikes ratio was crazy, right? It was more likes than dislikes. So it's sort of like, what are we playing here? Do you know what I mean? Why are big platforms like TikTok deleting these videos if they're important? Okay, now, I've always said in every single video, innocent until proven guilty, right? What happened? Let there be an investigation. I don't get why there hasn't been one investigation. And I always said this in plenty of videos. If you are accused of something, there's no proof, there's nothing, then yes, you know, innocent until you pled guilty. But with James Charles, he's admitted to it. There is proof. There is multiple people who've come forward. What is going on here? Why is James Charles so protected? And why aren't they pursuing with legal actions? Now, if you are a James Charles fan, you believe his innocence, right? So if James Charles is truly innocent, as he claims to be, and, you know, his fans believe him to be, then there's no problem. Then what is the issue with an investigation, right? If you're innocent, there's an investigation, then you're innocent, and you can clear up your name, right? So a lot of people are saying, well, he's paying the victims. I'm going to do like this because we need to protect ourselves, right? Allegedly. 1 second. So the alleged victims, they disappear. Where are they? Why haven't they done any kind of police involvement? When a victim comes forward, and this is so important for everyone to understand. I'm not talking about James Charles. That's why I'm not doing this. When a victim comes forward, you listen. You listen. Do you know how much bravery, how much strength you need to actually come forward and say something, you guys? It's insane. Usually victims live with this in their hearts and don't tell a soul. They believe it's their fault. They're scared. They're scared of their families finding out. They take on, not only do they take on the action that was done to them, they take on the pressure, the worry, the scaredness of it all. Scaredness, I don't know if that's a word, but you know what I mean. So I hate that videos are being deleted. If somebody has to say something, God, listen to them, right? Of course there's cloud chasers. Of course people do anything for money and for views. But we cannot allow those people to fuck it up for the actual real innocent victims who have been, you know, dealt with these cards, right? So for the alleged victims of James Charles, if you're watching, listen, talk to somebody. Go forward. I know it's hard and I know you shouldn't be pressured to say your truth, but you do not have to live with this fucking burden. You don't have to live through with it. It's not your fault, right? Now, for the people coming on my comment section saying James Charles is innocent, James Charles is innocent. Listen, I'm going to tell you now a story that happened to me. When I was very young, I got my first computer, right? And I got my first computer and I was so excited, you know, and there was, back in the day, there was Yahoo chat rooms, right? And in those Yahoo chat rooms, there's a lot of different, like, different types of chat rooms. So for example, like, bi guys searching for bi guys, or, you know, older for younger, or whatever, all these things. So one time I was in a chat and it was like gay teens for teens, something like that. So I went there and it was actually quite fun. And of course, bitch, hormones are racing, you know, it's crazy, you know, when you're 13, 14 years old. Well, so I was on the computer, whatever, and a guy messaged me. And he, you know, used to be like ASL, right? Like age, sex, location. So he said that, and I said like 13, 14, and then he also said like 16, 17, right? Whatever. So he was a little bit older than me, but he was still underage. So we started talking, and oh, it was like so cool, right? We had a lot of things in common, a lot of things that I knew he didn't. So like, for example, I'm like, oh my God, did you watch, I don't know, let's say something stupid, like the Princess Diaries. He was like, oh no, I haven't really heard of it, but I should watch it. So I started noticing these things. Well, one time he actually told me if I can call him. And of course, you guys, I was like, okay. And then I did like star 67 or star 60. Yeah, I think it's star 67 where you can block out your number. So I remember I came back from school and I was so excited. And I came back from school and I called him. And then this man picked up, right? Like this older man. And he was like, hello. And I was like, hi, it's so-and-so home. And he's like, who's calling? And I said, oh, I think I would give fake names. So I used to say a lot my name was Josh or Joshua. So I was like, it's Josh. And he's like, oh, you're Josh. Well, I've heard a lot about you. Unfortunately, he's not home, but if you want, let's talk a little bit so I can get to know you a little bit. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we started talking and I was very first of all, I was very in shock that somebody's father would be so cool with a stranger calling, and, da da da. And I was like, oh, this is so, you're such a cool dad, like, whatever, whatever. Like, I just remember that first phone call, and he's like, oh, well, I gotta go start dinner, and I'll let him know when he gets here, whatever. So that night, I don't hear from him. I'm online. I'm waiting for him to pop up, and he pops up, and he says like, "Hey, for me, it's very important that you and my dad get along because if we're gonna, okay, we used to talk about getting married, all these things, right? But so if we're gonna get married one day, you have to be really good with my dad." And I was like, "Of course, I totally understand." So he's like, "My dad wants you to call him tomorrow and talk, and then if he approves, we can start talking." And I was like, okay, bitch, I'm 13, 14 years old, like, whatever. So I call back the next day and we're talking and this and that, and he starts saying things like, oh, so are you a really good boy? Like, do you get good grades in school? Are you like really good? And I'm like, yeah, da, da, da. Then he started asking things like, so have you gone through puberty yet? Like, are you seeing hair different places? And I was like, then inside I felt weird because like I don't talk about that. I'm like, no, no, no hair. And he's like, oh, so you're smooth and this. Then there's like an awkward silence and I hear him sort of like breathing hard and I'm like, are you okay? And I remember I'm like, so when is so and so home? Like, I can we talk now? Like, I'm so excited to talk to him, this and that. And mind you, my mom thinks I'm doing homework, right? She wasn't home. She would get home like an hour after I got back from school. So like I had an hour to do all these fucking crazy things. And he started breathing hard and hard. He's like, so tell me about your smooth this and that. And I'm like, huh? And then I already knew something was really weird. So I hung up. I was so scared. I never won. So online, like a day after, my kid, the kid comes up and he's like, hey, my dad is really mad because you were really rude. You hung up with him, da da da. And then he started saying like, if we're gonna be together, like again, all these crazy things. So then I call back. I'm so stupid. I call back and the dad was like, well, the only way that you can be now with my son is if you send me some pictures of you. And you guys know where that's going. Luckily, I didn't send any pictures because I didn't know how. But he asked me to turn on my camera. And I thought that I was going to get to see him, the kid. Well, it turns out that it was this, like, from here down, and all I saw was legs and, like, jeans and, like, a shirt. But it was not a kid. So I was like, hi. And then I also, like, showed, like, this down. I didn't show my face. And he's like, stand up for me. Let me see what you're wearing. So I stood up and I'm like, where's, so-and-so? So I stand up. So he was like, oh, turn around. And then he started touching himself. And I immediately froze. And he literally just touched himself. And he's like, don't be scared, sit down. Because I hid behind my computer chair. He's like, don't be scared, don't be scared. But I was terrified because I didn't know what I was doing. And then I heard my mom got home and I'm like, she's gonna think I'm doing like the worst thing in the world, right? Because listen, I knew what sex was. I know what masturbation was. Like I knew all these things, right? Hormones, puberty, bitch, you were there. So he starts touching himself and he literally whips it out. And I was like, okay. So I'm hiding behind my computer like this and I'm trying to reach it to, like, end the thing. And long story short, he messaged me afterwards and said, this was just a test. I wanted to see how you would be with my son. Don't be scared. This is like a normal thing. And right that moment, had I believed him, I would have probably done crazy stuff. Because when he was on screen, he kept saying, just sit down, let me see you, this and that. Had I been weak or had I not known better, I would have been taken advantage of right there. And there was many times after that, that older men would contact me, or there's always so many predators out there. And that is my whole point, that when you're young, you have so many confusing things, and these adults know what they're doing. They know how to attract you. They know how to trap you, right? And it is not your fault. Now, listen, if you like older men after you're 18 and you're like, I'm 18, but my preference is a 40-year-old, girl, do it. If that is your preference, nobody's telling you otherwise, right? You gotta do what you gotta do. But when you're underage, and somebody is blatantly trying to take advantage of you using power play. Now, it wasn't a James Charles power. He was using the manipulation for me to get to his son, which we've been talking for a while, and I felt feelings for, because we're two 14-year-olds. Nobody really knew about our sexuality. We had this, he knew how to do it. Obviously the kid didn't exist, and I was talking to him the whole damn time. And that's why I go back, he didn't know certain things, like he didn't know certain movies, certain kids things. But can you imagine that I would have met him, or I would have, God knows what, right? So it is a very important, especially for parents, to be involved. Now, I remember I didn't tell my mom right away or anything. I to be very honest, like back then I was just like a pervert, and you know what I mean? I moved on. Now I look back and I'm like, damn, that would have been a very stressful and sticky situation. Now, luckily, nothing more happened and I moved on and whatever. But when I did tell my mom, like years after, I said like, oh, this. And she said, had I known what kind of people were out there, you wouldn't have had that much freedom on your computer. And I do think it's a very important thing for parents to really understand and really do. Do not give your kids so much freedom with their technology, especially nowadays, how easy it is to find someone, to find locations, to all these things. So I do think parents or someone of authority should be more involved. And I do think that unfortunately we do go through a lot when we're young, you know what I mean? But if you add a James Charles power, I can understand the manipulation. I can understand why it would be so difficult for a kid to say no. You get me? So the whole point of this video was to sort of take a deeper dive into the mindset, using my own experiences and how things really actually work. With James Charles, there is no legal case yet. There is no legal action being taken. There's not big repercussions that have been applied to him, like David Dobrik and all the other influencers. Which David Dobrik and Shane Dawson fans are really they're pissed off because they're like, well, if James Charles is actually even admitted to doing certain things and so many people have come forward, why is Morphe still supporting him? Why is this? Why is that, right? So no legal actions have been taken so far. Some videos of these TikTokers have been deleted. We don't know exactly what's going on. We don't even know anything. I only have to say, listen, whatever side you're on, just be on the side of, then let there be an investigation. If he is innocent and these kids, like he said, told him they were over 18, then that investigation hopefully will allow that to to be forward, and for him to be innocent and clean of his reputation. But if he is doing shady things, then I pray and I hope that there is investigation, not only for the people involved, but for the other people watching. Because if there's other kids going through this with other people, teachers, uncles, whatever it is, famous people, and they see that James Charles gets away with it, and there's repercussions to people coming forward from online because his fans go hard on all these kids that come forward, then they are going to be scared to tell their truth. And the most important thing that you should all remember is we should be able to say our truth. We should be able to. And it is our truth. So in order to, if we're accusing someone, then hopefully there can be an investigation with proof and with all these things, witnesses, everything. So we can be legally awarded, the winners. Do you get me? So I don't know, you guys. It's a very sticky situation. His career obviously has not ended, and that was the whole point. All of the things that have been said, that have been shown, that have been everything, he is still walking free. His career has not ended. He has not ended in the drama of it all, right? So I don't know, you guys. It's a very, very weird situation. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Like I said, it's one of those things where, listen, if he is innocent, then I hope he clears his name. If he is guilty, I hope the victims involved can be vindicated. Is that the word? Hey Google, what does vindicated mean?
Vindicate is used as a verb to mean clear someone of blame or suspicion, as in, hospital staff were vindicated by the inquest verdict.
I don't know.
Do you want to hear a few synonyms for vindicate?
No, girl, thank you. So I guess you know what I mean. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's fair that Morphe, that YouTube, all these places have not done more investigation with James Charles? Or do you think there's not enough proof? What do you guys think? Down below, it is open for discussion. We are not here to attack one another. If you are a James Charles fan and you believe his innocence, all right. If you are not a James Charles, you don't believe his innocence, all right. But let us try and understand that hopefully there will be some kind of investigation to prove which side is right. But a victim's word, a victim's truth, and a victim's coming forward should always be held with the utmost respect and priority, in my opinion. I love you all so much. Thank you for watching. And I opened up about very personal things just to show you that I get it, been through it, and it's scary. So I love you all so much. Thank you for watching.